Speaking of war crimes, man, did Phoenix really screw the pooch on this one. I mean, we talked about how shitty the return was going to be.
I'm going to be honest. It was going to be this bad.
It's worse than I thought it was going to be. Yeah.
I've talked basically through the whole process how the Suns have mismanaged the Kevin Durant fiasco worse than pretty much any team I've ever seen handle acquiring a star player, trying to make that star player happy by trading for Bradley Beal and giving up way too much to take on one of the worst contracts in the history of the NBA, maybe the worst contract in the history of the NBA, not building a proper team around him, and then also trying to trade him behind the scenes for really, people think the last few months, I've been hearing about this for like a year at this point. Yeah. Last offseason is where I first started to hear about these rumors. And it felt like we finally were reaching a boiling point at the deadline. And instead of potentially getting involved in that Jimmy Butler trade, or instead of trying to figure out a way to get ahead of this, they waited until the last possible second to make this trade. They lost all leverage in talks. They basically burned every bridge possible with KD, so there was no chance of him coming back. And they have continued to be the worst run team in the NBA going on 2.5, 3 years straight now, where they have fumbled every single opportunity. They're going to continue to build on these bad decisions by acquiring Jalen Green to go along with Bradley Beal and Devin Booker. And then they're going to turn around and give Devin Booker a $150 million 2-year extension, $75 million per year this offseason. And they have nothing to go around him unless they somehow salvage it by, once again, one of the things we said was they have to get lucky in some capacity. And the 10th pick is their chance to get lucky. They could take a swing on someone. They could try to hit a grand slam and hope to get one of the best players in the draft. That might be a star in a few years. Even by then, will Devin Booker still be there? I don't know. But long story short on this, they're pick poor. They're expensive. Their team sucks. There's so much positional overlap between their best players, and they really have no way out of this, even more so than before. This is one of the most mismanaged, horrible trades I've ever seen in my entire life. They're a joke of an organization, dude. Like, Ishbia is the worst tactical owner in the history of the NBA by a wide margin.
This is one of, I guess what I'm just like, you couldn't even get Jabari Smith, man. Like,
couldn't even get Cam Whitmore.
Like, the sheer amount of stuff that Houston held on to in this trade is like, I don't know. Like, I guess the only way that this like can make sense is if you're viewing Jalen Green as an asset. And I don't care how high you are on Jalen Green. Like, three of your three best players after you trade Kevin Durant are all shooting guards, and you're going to trade for another two more shooting guards.
Right. I was going to say Dylan Brooks really will play the three. Like, that's right. Like what this comes down to. But one of those guys, I mean, once again, if you had a plan in place to move Jalen Green, then I would be like, okay, I can hear you out on it. Like, if there was a Jalen Green and something, but they can't aggregate salary still. They can't trade other players on top of that. They'd have to loop it into this trade.
Speaking of which, just real quick on that, this trade technically doesn't work. So Phoenix is probably going to have to send someone else back. It's like only $1 million, but like I do think Phoenix is going to have to send someone with Kevin Durant to.
They can't. They cannot aggregate salary.
I don't know how this trade works then, because I think they're over. Maybe it's just agreed to now, and like maybe everybody's salary goes up a little bit next year. But right now they're adding salary.
6th, so that's when it will be finalized.
Okay, they're adding salary right now, so they can't do that. Like, maybe Jalen Green's and Dylan Brooks's contracts go up more than Kevin Durant's do, but like right now, this trade doesn't work.
The Phoenix Suns are still above the second apron and actually increased their payroll since they don't have to match for the 10th overall pick, which is a $6 million salary. They'd be very close to getting below the apron now by waiving Cody Martin and declining Vasilije Micic. So that's what they'll do.
Okay, so they're gonna do that to be under the second apron so they can
They'll have
take
to
extra
shed more
money.
salary even on top
Yeah.
of that, and then they'll get under the second
Okay,
apron so
that
that they
makes
can make
sense.
a trade like this work.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, what this trade is that if you factor in the cost from Houston's perspective of you saw what once again, I never liked the Jalen Green contract the second they signed it, but this is what they had in mind.
Yeah.
What they had in mind was it's not going to be an unmovable contract. It's not $50 million, it's 30 something million dollars. There will be a team that bites on it, and we might have to pay a little bit to get off of it, but the player we get back is going to be so much better. So essentially, what they just did is they traded one of the worst starters in the NBA and an average-ish starter for Kevin Durant. And now it is only 1 year, and Kevin Durant's aging, and we don't expect him to be prime KD anymore. But one of the things that we've talked about time and time again with this Rockets team is that they just need a release valve on offense. They need someone who can get tough buckets when everything breaks down with their half-court offense, which has been very stagnant in big moments throughout the regular season, in the playoffs. And they have the proper infrastructure with defense, rebounding, athleticism to cover up for what Kevin Durant has become as a defender. So he's really going to be their fourth or fifth worst defender on the court at any given moment. And they can, because they were able to keep Jabari, Tari, Cam Whitmore, Reed Shepherd, they could also make other moves if they wanted to. Like,
Yeah.
this isn't it for them if they want to continue to make other moves. And also, maybe they decide to keep them and just try to have those guys for the regular season to run up the wins and then kind of try to preserve KD for the playoffs. Because even if you remove KD from this team, they would be better than last year because getting rid of Jalen Green is a positive.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is there's no more. Now, look, I don't want to act like the 10th pick is nothing because, like, well, it's a lottery pick. I think in this draft, there's a chance you could get like a good player. Like, I think probably the guy you get in that spot will project to be like an NBA starter, I would say, like at some point, probably in this draft, based on like who's going to be around there. But like, it's just not good value for KD, especially given, you did the Masai thing with OG, and this is the problem with like holding on to guys and like not making trades early enough. Like, you could have gotten real stuff
last offseason or at the trade deadline. Like, there were times that you could have taken advantage of this situation, and sitting on your hands because you didn't want to lose the trade is ultimately what made you lose this trade even worse than you could have ever imagined. Now, we'll see what they do with the 10th pick. You are correct that right now we can't fully judge them based on that. But like right now, here's the range for what Tankathon has. And we kind of have a general idea on what the top 8 or 9 is going to be. And it feels like we like that. This is where the prospect tier starts to drop a little bit.
Yep. A little bit. Yeah.
But once again, I don't know if Phoenix should trust their scouts. I don't know if they have a proven track record at all of being able to really. Do we even know if there's still the same scouting department from last year who drafted Ryan Dunn and Oso Ighodaro? Like, I don't know how to judge or rate this because it's a new front office technically. So I'm looking at this like, do they even have scouts? Like, it is a legitimate question to ask. Like, so I'm looking at this right now, and assuming that they keep the 10th pick in the draft, this is the range right now of the prospects that are on the board. So right now, the top 9 picks are Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper, VJ Edgecombe, Con Knipple, Ace Bailey, Trey Johnson, Jeremiah Fears, Kasparis, Yakuchones, and Kaman Malawach. Now, dream scenario for them, one of Ace or Kaman Malawach drops to them at 10, I think.
Yeah, that would be huge for them.
If it goes chalk, let's just say we think that those two are both in the top 8, they both go in the top 9. This is the range of prospect that we're talking about that is projected right now. Derek Queen, Carter Bryant, Colin Murray Boyles, Jace Richardson, Noah Essengay, Cedric Coward, Nick Clifford, Austin Newell are the next 7 picks. So if I'm them, once again, I said that they need to get a little bit of luck anyway in order to salvage this.
Yeah.
You have to take a swing. Like, you can't draft Carter Bryant. Like, if you draft Carter Bryant, it's Devin Booker, just trade him right now. Because you're basically at a point where in order to salvage this, you need to hit and get a big hit right now. Like, you need to hope that Colin Murray-Boyles is Draymond and Randall mix. You need to hope Derek Queen's the next Sabonis or Şengün. You need to hope that one of these guys in this range either falls or those guys turn out to be absolute Grand Slam picks. I don't think you could be conservative and just go, let's get a nice role player so that we can continue to win like 30 games in the West.
So there's no downside to taking a swing on these guys, because if these guys, if you swing and a guy's a total bust and he's ass, awesome. You're still bad anyway. Like, like it doesn't. There's no repercussions for that. Like, you're gonna be bad no matter what. Like, right now, what would you project the Phoenix Suns roster as currently constructed right now
to win in the West?
To win in the West, yeah.
29 games.
I was gonna say, is it over? I set the over under at 30, like straight up, and I'm like not even like I'm not doing like a bit or being hyperbolic.
They were 3-17 without Kevin Durant last year.
Yeah, like I think they're gonna be like terrible, man. Like it's gonna be amazing. Oh man.